What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video, and today we're going to be talking about the Winnipeg Jets and what kind of challenges they're facing with their contract situations going into next season. I bring this up now because heading into the Four Nations face-off, there is a 2-week break between normal NHL action, so no normal NHL games for 2 weeks. It's been reported that a lot of teams, not just Winnipeg, are going to be talking, to their expiring contract players, guys that are going to be UFAs next season, free agents, and guys that are RFAs, so restricted free agents. So I wouldn't expect the Jets to do any less. I know they're going to be, at least trying to start some conversations, but I do wonder if they, get a couple guys locked up here, and that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to take a look at the forward core first before delving into the defense, but first and foremost, Nikolai Ehlers makes $6 million right now, will be a free agent at the end of the season, and this is a guy that's done so much good here in Winnipeg. He's so fast, his skill is absolutely undeniable. A guy that maybe, should have been given some more ice time throughout his career. When given the shot, Nikolai Ehlers is one of the greatest players on this team night in, night out, and he's especially showing it this season. Even playing with Vlad Nemesnikov and Cole Perfetti, not even playing with, Mark Scheifele or Kyle Connor. This guy is a driver and a very underrated player in the NHL, but ones that teams definitely value. He's going to be expensive on the market. Is Winnipeg able to get a deal done with him? I'm not sure if at this point in time they're going to be able to agree to terms. I think it's going to come in the offseason, reevaluate everything, but I would be really shocked if Nikolai Ehlers does not test the free agent waters, because especially with the cap going up this season and seasons to come, what he's done this year and earlier on in his career, the guy is going to get paid. So, we'll see what happens with Nick. I would love if he could re-sign, and I think that should be, a big priority, but the Jets are going to have to make it worthwhile for him, and I hope that he's willing to stay in Winnipeg, because I really love Nikolai Ehlers. He's been one of my favorite players for really since he got drafted, and it would just really suck to see this guy go. Next up is Gabe Vilardi, right? So Vilardi, 25 years old, RFA, obviously was the big piece coming back in the Pierre-Luc Dubois deal, and man, has that worked out for Winnipeg. He has looked absolutely incredible on the wing with Mark Scheifele and Kyle Connor this year. That top line has been great for the majority, and he's a massive part about it. The guy's got slick hands, big body. What is he going to demand in free agency? I'm not really, totally certain what he's going to get. I could see, anywhere from like $7 to $8.5 million, but I would lean somewhere in the middle there. It wouldn't shock me if he gets, that 8-year extension at 7.7 or something like that. I think he's definitely worth it, especially cap going up. Guys got to remember that contracts are going to be, a little bit more inflated this season because players are going to be cashing in with the extra cap space. But Gabe Vilardi, one of those guys that I think Winnipeg will have no problem signing, unless he comes out of the blue here, says he doesn't want to play in Winnipeg, but I don't really necessarily see that happening. Vilardi has been awesome ever since the trade, and I don't really see him going anywhere. I would love if the Jets could try to nail out an extension over the 2-week break. Now, we've got the two big forwards out of the way. Let's look at, some of the, lesser priority players like Alex Iafallo, currently making $4 million. I don't think he's going to make that on his next contract, 31 years old, playing on the wing. We'll see what happens with him. I don't imagine an extension will come, over this 2-week period. I think there's a good chance that he could be a cap casualty coming next season. Same goes for Mason Appleton. The organization really likes him, but unless it's a short-term, lower-end contract, worth about what he gets now at $2 million, I can't imagine he's going to be back, or if he is back, it'll be, a signing that gets done after we sign, some of the bigger guys on this team. Nemesnikov, maybe same kind of thing. I think the organization values him a little bit more as he's playing up in the lineup, obviously. He's been the second-line center most of the year and hasn't been, a bad player, but probably more suited for a bottom six role at this point in his career. Still a very effective player. I'm a big fan of Vlad. Morgan Barron, Rasmus Kupari, same kind of thing. I think they're going to be, signed to cheaper deals. Rasmus has had, a fairly good year for a fourth liner. I do like him quite a bit. I think he'll be back. Same with Barron. The organization seems to love him. And if we're losing a guy like Mason Appleton or, an Alex Iafallo or both, I think Barron's more than ready to step up into one of their roles. Now, if we head over to the defensive side, this is where it gets really interesting. So I'm going to start at the bottom here, get the easy stuff out of the way. Hayden Fleury, UFA after this season. It's good depth, but a guy that I can't really imagine is going to be back with the team next season unless he's, in an AHL role. Now, Dylan Sandberg signed a 2-year deal a couple seasons ago. He's on the last year of it this season, is an RFA at the end of the year. $1.4 million is what he makes right now. He's going to get astronomically more money than that. I think a comparable here, this is pointed out to me on a user on Twitter, it could be Marcus Pettersson, the deal that he just signed over in Vancouver, the 5-year, roughly $5.5 million deal. I think that's something Sandberg could be looking at, but I would love if they could lock him up for, 6, 7, 8 years. I think that would be amazing. The guy's just 26 years old and has really come into his own this season. He's been the Jets, second best defender, a close second, I'd say, to Josh Morrissey. He's made Neil Pionk look like a viable option in the NHL. This isn't a guy that you can just, screw around with here. You need to lock this guy up long term, and I do expect them to really make a run at doing that. So, if you could do the 6, 7, 8 year thing with him, you lock him up to around, I don't know, I'd even go to $8 million for Sandberg. I don't think it'll climb that high, but 6.5 I don't think would be unreasonable for him. Dylan Sandberg has really just been fantastic this year, and I'm sure he's about to get paid. Now, here is the big question mark, and one that could really affect the rest of the lineup this year. Neil Pionk, 29 years old, right shot defenseman, making just under $6 million this year, is an unrestricted free agent at the end of this season. So what happens with him? He's coming off of 3 years in a row where he really wasn't that impressive, wasn't living up to his cap numbers, and ultimately was a detriment to the team. This year, a little bit of a different story being paired with Dylan Sandberg. He has found success offensively again. He's been okay defensively, but sometimes those defensive blunders do rear their ugly head. When Sandberg went down this season, he was a mess. He did not look good, and it was the worst stretch of games for him. Once Sandberg came back and started bailing him out again, Pionk got back to, being the player that he is, currently, a very okay player to play in your top 4. Ideally, the Jets would, not bring him back, in my opinion, for the money that he's going to be making, because I thoroughly believe that he's going to be making, $8 million. I'm sure that's going to be around the asking price for him. If you're the Jets, you just can't do that. He's 29 years old, and if you lock him up long term to a very, high cap hit of, around $8 million, I'm worried some teams, if he hits free agency, might even pay him $9 million, to be totally honest with you, just with him being a right shot and under 30 years old. I'm really worried at where this contract negotiation could go, and I hope that things, kind of don't work out. I like Neil Pionk, for the right price. I think he'd be a fine player if he made less money to throw into this lineup and everything, but, really committing yourself to 7 or 8 years, $8 million per year for Neil Pionk, I think the cap is much well spent elsewhere on a Nikolai Ehlers, on a Gabe Vilardi, on a Dylan Sandberg. You're not going to be able to keep everyone. And the reason I say this is, theoretically you could sign everyone here, but you wouldn't have cap space to give Kyle Connor his raise next year. Adam Lowry, I'm sure he's going to be getting a raise from $3.25 million a year, right? So there is levels to this. It's a little bit scary because you need to figure out, okay, I need to be good this year and next year. How am I going to make room over the next 2 years? And yes, the cap does go up, but with the cap going up, so does the player demands. So, player salaries are going to get higher. Kyle Connor is going to make a lot more than just over $7 million in the 26-27 season. It's going to be around, 12, 13 million. So we'll see where all of this goes for the Winnipeg Jets, but this is their contract situation right now. If I had to give my prediction, I don't know if a lot is going to actually get signed during the Four Nations period, but I do expect them to take a run at Dylan Sandberg. I think that he's a guy that could be back. I wonder if they throw, a lower contract of Vlad Nemesnikov, over like a 2-year period or something like that for him. I think they're going to try to lock up Gabe Vilardi, but I think RFAs are going to be more prioritized now than, in the offseason generally. I think they're going to start those talks now and worry about the unrestricted free agents later. But what do you guys think? I want to hear from you guys down below. Who do you guys want the Jets to prioritize? I want to hear from you guys, so yeah, definitely let me know. But with that, guys, I'm out of here. Leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I'll see you guys in the next one. Go Jets, go! Bye-bye.